Alrighty, Lumberjacks, welcome back to episode 3 of our instructional video series for running these machines. Last video we did was on the buncher. What we did was lay all the wood down in a particular way so that we could, in theory, bring it back out to the landing. So what we're going to do is now we're going to introduce the line dozer. Also, there's a line skidder as well. They basically have the same operation or similar operation to each other in the terms of pulling the wood themselves. So we're going to hop in this one. Go for a little walk here. So the purpose of this machine, not only does it have the dozer blade on the front so you can push stuff around like wood chips or push the actual wood around, but it also has a line on the back here that you can use to hook onto the trees to drag them, and that's called skidding. So basically the operation of skidding, after we covered the buncher, we put them into bunches as they're called, or they're in groups like this. These ones are kind of broken up, but in groups of bunches. Then what you do is you use something called a skidder to hook on, and you skid the logs by dragging them down the hill over to the operating section, which would be where the processor is in this case. So I'm just going to raise this up and back it up a little bit. So in this case, what we're going to do first of all is we might pull these logs ahead a little bit, just because they're a little ways away from the processor. I haven't quite decided. We're going to be a little close to the road here, so maybe what I'll do is we'll bring the processor up just a teeny bit more. I like to have a little bit of a gap between me and the road. I also like to be slightly level in my processor. There we go, that should be good. So a little bit of a gap between you and the road, so you have a place to lay down the logs, and yeah, then you can actually operate a little bit better too. So in this case, what we're going to do is I'm going to straighten these with the blade. So the blade has the ability to go up and down, also has collisions on the front, so you can push the logs around. So in this case, I'm going to go to the front, push these logs kind of together a little bit. And let's see here. I can probably even straighten them out a bit more, but that's okay. So what I'm going to do is show you the operation of this thing. So what you want to do is you want to line up your back end with the pile of the logs. So make sure you're straight. There's this little shield on the back that raises and lowers. So if your logs aren't straight together, you can actually push them together so they straighten up a little bit better. That's what that's for. And you can raise and lower that guy. Just for helping operate. Keeps the logs all kind of in the same mix. So you want to hop out, walk up to your logs and hit B after you see the log. That will create a thing. So generally when you're line skidding, what you want to do is put the first hook in the middle of middle log. So that'll be your first hook. Should go right in the middle. So that way all the adjacent ones that you connect to will hook on accordingly, like so. And they won't be really too far apart from each other. That way you kind of have a centralized location. So you have the option of, if you hit B, it turns on the winch. If you hit Z, oh, they're too heavy. So normally if you hit Z when you have enough, you can actually pull them in. If you hit X, it releases the line, so you can actually drive away without pulling the logs. That's a good way to get your distance and turning. But in this case, we want to drag the logs here, so hold on a sec. Oops, what did I do here? So, actually I wonder... Oh, I think I got stuck here. So one thing you gotta watch, if the logs are too heavy, don't try to winch them. Sorry, I have to reconnect these real quick. That's something that does happen. So hook. Oop, let's get right down in there. So we're gonna get a double tutorial on hooking these logs up. Okay, so now we have our lines hooked up to our skidder tray there, and we can pull them. So you see they'll slide kind of erratically all over the place. That's normal for logs in this game. So I'd get them even to like there is probably good enough. I mean, that was just a really temporary show you thing there. In that case, well, we'll go over the processor afterward. Let's get the logs down. But you want to bring the logs so they're about, like for the processor, about off of its track or just off of its track would be a good place to put them. And you can always move the processor if they're too close or too far, which we'll probably end up doing in the next video. So in this case, I'm just going to back it up the hill because it goes about as fast backwards as it does forwards. Walk it all the way back up this hill. We're going to hook onto these two. Grab this one, then that one. Now one thing you can do is you can actually drag these over to this other pile and then add on to the pile so that you don't feel like you're just going down all that way for no reason, right? So now that we've brought it up to this pile, we can hook another one on there and bring those down with us if we choose to do so. And then you want to kind of pull it in the direction. So if you find the direction's not working out for you, hit X, let the line pull out a bit, and then hit Z again. Oops, B and then Z again. And then you'll actually be able to adjust the kind of pulling angle of your lines, which you guys will figure out after you play with this thing enough. Shift B disconnects everything, so you don't have to get out. You can also get out and manually disconnect it, but to save time, we're going to do it like that today. Now, in this case, our logs are kind of cockeyed to one side here. So see how they kind of shoot in from one side and straight on this side? Well, we want these logs to be straight like they are on this side. So you'll want to push them, but you want to start at the top to push them, because or else the physics will not like you so much. So we push them like this to kind of straighten it out, and we want to line this up with that other pile over there. So we'll just keep pushing them along until we kind of see them getting straight here. There we go. Line them up right like that. Pull our blade back up. And then you can go back down to the bottom. And you can also cinch these logs up. Like, for instance, they look like they're sticking ahead a little bit. So you can even cinch them up with this machine, which is really handy because that blade's so big on the front. So if you find that your logs are all mismatched on the front, like see how they're kind of some stick ahead, some stick back. It's actually not too bad for this one, but if you find that they're a little too... Sorry, I'm just trying to find a good camera angle here. A little too much, you can always just shimmy them back up and straighten them all out. The straighter the better for logs in this game. So in this case, I'm actually just going to shimmy these all back a little bit. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, let's go grab our last three up on the hill here, and that should about do it for the line skidder. Line skidder is probably the easiest one to use. I'm just going to move our buncher here a little bit. We'll go park it in the bushes and hide it with the camouflage of the trees. The line skidder is definitely the easiest. I don't have any grapple skidders anymore currently, just because they are a lot more glitchy. And since the creation of the line skidder, I've noticed nobody even wants to use the grapple skidders anymore. So mostly just because they're very glitchy. I'm going to work on maybe making a really decent one, but for the time being, line skidders are the best way to go. So in this case, another way you can do it, so for instance, if you want this one to be your middle one, try to line it up with this one. So line it up here, put a B, and wherever that chain is, put a B. Oops, oh, I disconnected it. Darn. So B, B, and B. So then they're kind of sort of within range of each other, and then when you pull them, they'll stay slightly more even. Very slightly. So in this case, see, we've kind of brought them in on a wacky angle here, which is not ideal. It's not a great way to do it. The other skidder is actually a little bit better for that because it's got a tray on the back that keeps it all straight. But I just wanted to kind of show you guys from this angle how it works. So in this case, we can manually just shove these back up the hill here and then turn them into that pile. In this case, we'll go all the way up to the tops because it's not really spinning on the dime that I want it to. And then hopefully, there we go, that's what I wanted to happen. Hopefully we can line these all up nice here. Or at least close enough so that when we do process them, it won't be such a big pain in the butt. Okay, so for instance, here's a perfect example of something that went wrong that is great because I want to show you guys the best way to fix this problem. So see what happened here. Get out and take a look. This one got here. I'm going to clear some of these branches so you can see here as well. It's another good technique. Clear the branches for the processor operator because a lot of them stick out. So go run up the log and snip these. So that gives a nice clean opening for the processor. So what happened was this log is very much out of sync with the rest of the logs. See how it's way up here? That's going to cause a problem when that processor operator starts going because he's going to have to reach extra far or it might get curled up with the rest of the wood. So what you can do on this guy, in this case I would back it up as close as I can to that pile, even push them back a little if I have to. Right about here. Now what you want to do, get out, hook onto that log itself. Just all by itself like that. And what you want to do is actually turn on your winch and press Z, and it slowly pulls it. Slow is good because if there's any problems, you can stop. If you just drive ahead, it might just whip the whole pile ahead, which is not ideal. If you hit shift, it speeds it up a bit, so you can kind of, you know, work it as you do. There you go. And then shift B to disconnect. That's a really good way to cinch up your piles to make them nice and clean. There's one stick over here. I could push it over, but I'll just grab it with the processor in the next video. I'm going to park this over here. This thing also pushes wood chips with the blade, so you can use the blade, push it around. We don't have any wood chips currently. Maybe later on in the video we'll have something we can do with that. So I'm just going to leave this guy parked over by the tree. Yeah, that basically covers the operation of all the line skidders. The other skidder is the Banshee, and it also has a big tray on the back that you can lift to straighten the trees. I have a couple videos on that already, so I'm not going to do extra stuff on that. But yeah, that basically covers the purpose of skidding and how that works. You're just basically bringing the trees down from where you dropped them in the bush over to the landing where the processor operates. So yeah, that basically covers that. In the next video, we'll go over the processor operation and how the best methods to do that. So thanks a lot. If you liked the video, leave a like, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.